specifically about the game 3, what do you think you guys need to improve for the game 4?
Um, feel like we have to get back to being who we are. Especially on the defensive end, being more connected. We have to close out possessions, and then on the other side, we have to take care of the ball and execute the way that you know execute to the level and the standard that we expect from ourselves.
Chet, when you guys aren't as connected as you'd like to be defensively, how does that show up in you?
Um, I'd say it can be a multitude of things. It can be a different thing on every possession, from being off of people's bodies to not communicating through actions. Not helping the helper, having each other's back on the backside, not being at the rim when we need to help, not winning a closeout. It can be any number of things, and no game's going to be perfect, but we have to try and clean up as many of those instances as we can.
How do you guys usually follow up a game when you're not as connected?
We usually make a point of it on film and show all the different areas that we need to be better, and then kind of make those points of emphasis, coming into the next game to try and clean those things up.
Talking about this game 4, and how big is this for you guys? Because the Pacers can make 3-1 in the series. In the same time, you guys can regain the home court advantage.
Yeah, it's extremely important. Every game is extremely important. It doesn't matter what the series score is. At the end of the day, it's the first team to 4 wins. So it's extremely important. There's no other way to put it. We have a great opportunity here coming up. To go out and win a basketball game, and like you said, take back home court advantage. So we have to kind of understand the opportunity that we have and make it much further.
Yeah. Their stamina is right, their ability to kind of super quick take punch, keep coming, and then in the fourth quarter they see sometimes go stronger. So does that surprise you?
I wouldn't say it's surprising. That's kind of been I guess you could say, their identity leading up to this series. It's what's showed up in the games up to this point, and we have to figure out a way to counteract that and kind of change that and swing it in our favor. Because it's not a winning formula to not be better than the other team in the fourth quarter.
You prefer having a quicker side around Eastern games like you have for game quarter to change anything to your free pop test, something like that?
I think it just it's just different. With 2 days you have more rest, but with 1 day, you get to play quicker. So I guess it's just kind of different.
After a loss like yesterday, that's better to be on the court back on the court quicker.
I definitely prefer to only have to sit with a loss for 1 day rather than 2, for sure.
They're a really good team. They play really good. We just got to respond to the last game that we played. We regrouped, we watched film, and then we saw some of the stuff we can get better at.
The fans, how do you compare the fans from Indiana to the OKC?
Oh, OKC is the best one still. I mean, they were loud. They were cheering for their team, yes, for sure. But OKC is the best for sure.
Going back and looking at the film, a lot of guys are like, there's so many controllables that we can lean into going into game 4. What are some of those top of mind controllables?
Biggest one is taking care of the ball. They're real aggressive. Their pickup points and all that. So we got to just take our time and take care of the ball, and then if we do that, we're gonna be in a good position.
You guys have done. Well, you guys have done such a good job of responding throughout the entirety of this postseason. What goes into that mentally for this group?
Regrouping. I mean, not every game is going to be perfect. We're going to make some mistakes, and we just got to regroup and then see the stuff we can get better at, which we've been doing a good job of turning the page. And then it's going to be a different game, and then we're going to be ready for the challenge.
Can you speak to your winner and a guy like TJ McConnell, less effective in the yesterday?
I mean, he's a big energy guy, honestly. Really smart. You know, he's in the right position, you know, to steal the ball a lot of time, and then he plays at a really good pace. You know, we just gotta one, take care of the ball, and then also stay in front of him. I mean, he's a good player. He's gonna make some good plays, but you know, we got good defenders to stop him.
So you have to be more aware where he is in the court, especially his ability to get upstairs.
For sure. I mean, he's crafty, he's smart, and he's small at the same time. Sometimes it's hard to see him, but you know, we just gotta take our time and see where he's at to be able to take care of the ball.
Which one do you describe as the worst thing last night? 19 turnovers or 18 points in the fourth quarter? Or is it the same Lincoln?
I would say both. Yeah, both. You know, we got to take care of the ball, and then, you know, we got to stuff them. I mean, 19 in the quarter is a lot of points, so, you know, we got to take care of that.
And playing defense against a guy like Caruso yesterday, almost a triple goal, handling the rhythm for the guys, how difficult is it, or what can you describe play defense on him?
Yeah, he's a good player. Has the ball a lot. He's going to make a lot of good plays for his teammates and for himself. So our main job is to make everything tough. I feel like he kind of got loose yesterday, last night. You know, we just got to take care of that. You know, make everything tough and be a little more physical.
My last one about, because I'm a fan of your defense. My last one. Is it more difficult to reach than the other ones? Because of the size, because of the handling, or for you as a side, you have to do something for everyone?
I mean, it's the same. I mean, every player is different the way that their style of play, but the preparation is the same. You know, watch film, see the stuff that I can do, or we can do the stuff with a main guy like that, and then we got to do it on the floor.
Well, it seems like sometimes Shea and Andrew can get spicy with each other a little bit. I'm not asking you to gas up an opponent, but you know him as your countryman. What is it about them part that I guess gives them the gumption to try to really go at and stay with the MVP?
Yeah, he's a competitor. Got to give it to him. I mean, he's been like that since high school, and it's not new. But you know, he takes a challenge every time, and then he's a tough player. And then knowing that he's going against the best player in the league, you know, he'll give his best shot, and then give a lot of credit to him for that.
Lou, do you think that having just one day in between game 3 and 4 can help you guys, let's say, respond, fire you guys up to have a chance to respond right away?
Honestly, I don't think it really matters. I mean, the game plan is still the same if we have, you know, 2 days, 3 days, whatever days off we got between the games. But yeah, the game plan is still the same, and then, you know, whenever it's game day, we'll be ready to go.
Did you describe the finish from the team right now in the locker room? I don't know, I've been disappointed, concerned, reset.
I don't think we're ever concerned. I think it was more me rewatching the film. There was a lot of stuff where we just didn't
And which one?
be who we are. It's my fault. We just weren't who we are. And I think, yeah, I think they took that game. I mean, yeah, we didn't control a lot of stuff that we could control, but they did a good job of just kind of playing more how we play. And yeah, we just got to get back to our stuff.
The 18 points in the full quarter, the 10 turnovers between Shea and Jalen, the turnovers in general, which one should be the first adjustment for tomorrow?
I mean, again, just coming out, being ourselves. I think that's a big thing. I think we came out. We started off good, but I think throughout the game you saw that it was a little loose. I think there was times where we weren't defensively playing our game, and then I think this was like the first time throughout the playoffs that a team had more. That we had more turnovers than another team. Yeah, so again, it's all controllable stuff, and I think that's where you're optimistic. Where it's like, if we change these things, we can get back to where we want to get to.
My last one. You've been here before. Remember, 2 tied again. You cannot bond 3-2. You've been in these situations. You never lost 2 in a row, especially in the playoffs. Is that the sense of urgency that you have?
Yeah, we're gonna have a sense of urgency for sure. I think that's the kind of group we are. That's the organization we are, and so if we're gonna come out and be ourselves, we know what we need to do.
Thank you.
Isaiah, well, a lot of people talked about the atmosphere in Oklahoma with the Thunder fans. How was for you guys here with the Pacers fans? Was the same atmosphere?
It was good. I mean, it was good. I mean, I think, especially as a player, sometimes you get into the game, you're so in the present moment that you kind of just blend it out. To me, OKC have the best fans in the playoffs so far. So I think it's hard to be better than that. But again, Indiana's a basketball state, and so I think they did a great job. Yeah.
Isaiah, is it kind of nice to be able to play this game tomorrow versus have 2 days off in between like last year?
I think we were talking about it. Like it's a lot better just to get to it. I mean, I think we're excited to get back to it. Again, looking back at that game, there was so much that we could have done better. I think that's where your confidence kind of comes from, where it's some games where it's like you just lost that game, you couldn't fix anything, but you looking back at that game, there was so much we could fix if it's from turnovers, turning them over. I think we just didn't do a good job of doing what has made us great all season. So yeah.
You guys have done a great job of responding after losses like this and coming back all season long. What is it about this group mentally that you guys have been able to do that so consistently?
I think we all have that same mental mindset of we try to stay in the present moment, push our emotions aside, but then also come in with that little edge to us. Again, you're human. You're gonna have emotions after the game. I don't think anyone was satisfied or happy after the game, but now I think we're back to zero, and yeah.
You've won in tough environments before: Denver, Minnesota, Memphis. Now that you've gone through it in Game 3, does it help you at all going into Game 4? Kind of what you expect?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think yeah, atmospheres are always good, but as a player, you get so, like I said before, in the present moment that you kind of just like blend it out. So I think it was more on us not executing what we needed to do, that rather than an atmosphere type of thing. So again, they had great fans here, but I think as a player, you blend it out at times.
You know how the game wanted to be, and how the game wanted to flow, and you know, I think that was apparent just with the runs that they went on when they played well were 9, 10, 12-point runs, and ours were more like 6, 7-point runs. So I think that's probably the thing that stood out the most.
Alex, how you doing? You've been in this position in Denver 1-2 down. You tied the series and won it finally. Which one you should say should be the 1-2 first adjustment for tomorrow?
Yeah, I think just the competitive greatness for this team has to be an all-time high. To be able to go on the road and win a game is a difficult thing in the playoffs, but especially being down, staring 3-1 down in the face, you gotta really get your mind right and get ready for the preparation that it's going to take to go out there and compete for 48 minutes and get the win.
It's easy to handle this situation between Shea and Jamie. They lost all turnovers 10 between them. It's weird. It's easy to correct that, talking about them?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and actually look at the actual turnovers. I'm not sure where they came from, the specific plays, but yeah, I think that's an abnormal game for them. I think their norm all year has been to take care of the ball and to get us great shots as a team. So yeah, I expect them to find that for them.
My last one, very quick. Did you surprise when you were playing the game with the level of intensity of their defense?
No, I thought, like I said, I think there were stretches where we, kind of dominated the game and played the way we wanted to, particularly on the defensive end. I think that, they just did a better job, and maybe that's, coming back home, they had a little more juice and a little more pop. But I think for the most part, I think when we did what we wanted to do, when we executed how we wanted to play, it was good for us.
Alex, obviously you're the only one with NBA Finals experience on your team, and besides the obvious 5 years ago, the bubble versus now, what would you say, has the experience of being in the finals kind of been similar to what you felt in the bubble, or has it been completely different?
Yeah, I think the real difference is just that, like, I was in my third year in the NBA, and 2 of those were on two-way. So, like, I was still learning a lot at the time, whereas now I think, like, that was my first playoff run. That was the first time I'd been to the playoffs, was we won the championship. So I think going through a couple of seasons in between that and losing the playoffs, getting to the playoffs, and now here, you know, being on this stretch run again and getting here and having a chance to win it. Just my knowledge of the game and my understanding of the situations, you know, I relied a lot on the veteran team that we had the year we won the championship. We had multiple guys, 10, 15 years in the league. Like it's an astounding number. So I think being on the other side of that now, being the guy who's had the most experience and you know, trying to give the guys the right mindset and the right course corrections is probably the biggest difference.
What makes them such an effective transition?
Yeah, I think it starts with their offense. You know, I think they do a good job of putting teams behind the ball, putting teams in actions where they're chasing and maybe not influencing, and then, you know, from there they usually get good shots and efficient shots, and even then, if they're not, they have you moved around to where it's not an easy. It's not the same scenario where you're breaking out. Some of that also is, you know, they do a good job of getting back and loading to the ball. Just a couple of times last night, I'm bringing it up. And there's a guy in each gap, and there's nowhere to really, you know, find a crease early in the possession. But yeah, I think it probably starts with their offense and you know, people not influencing enough on what they're doing. Yeah, guard him better. That would be a good start. Don't give him the ball 90 feet away from the basket on offense. TJ played, you know, the way that he plays last night, and he impacted the game. I've seen that from him for, you know, a number of years now. We know what the scout is on him, and he does a good job of finding ways to impact the game still. But yeah, I think just, you know, keeping him out of the paint, and then obviously don't throw him the ball under the basket 90 feet.
In game, more aware of where he is on the court, especially defensively.
Yeah, I mean, at least in the scenarios where you're taking the ball out, because he does have those, you know, him and Jose Alvarado, they have those kind of sneaky ability to come back and steal some of those inbounds passes. But that's for the most part. I mean, that's you know, kind of his bread and butter. That's his staple. So you know, some of that's just mental error on our part too. Is playing a little too quick. Maybe, you know, take a second, read the floor.
What makes him good at it even when you know that's coming? I mean, like, you obviously know that on film when you're playing TJ, you know that's the thing he does. What makes him as effective at it, even as everybody knows he's going to do it?
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in a basketball game at the same time, and if you go through a tough possession and then they make a shot, and all of a sudden, you know, there's three guys in the paint, it's a little crowded. There's a lot of stuff to look at rather than just like, you know, trying to find the one guy running and guarding the ball.
In game 2, bench scoring was like the X factor that kind of helped in the victory. Is that going to be like a priority that we see in game 4? Because in game 3, maybe the rotations were like the bench guys didn't get as many minutes as they normally did in game 2. Would that be something that's a priority in game 4?
I don't know. That's a Mark question. I don't have control over how many minutes we get to play.
More of like the priority of scoring off the bench.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of like we don't run set plays for most people on our team. Most people on our team, we get set plays out of the actions, and we get shots out of the actions and off of the you know, the coverages of teams with, you know, managing guys. So some of that's just the ball finding you. Like I think I only had 5 shots last game, or the other game I had, you know, I got 8 threes up just through the flow of the game. Maybe I missed 1 or 2 that I could have taken last night, but for the most part, it's not like a concentrated effort to like make sure I get in the game and score, or like Wiggs get in the game and score, or whoever it is. We do a pretty good job of letting the game tell us what to do.
After the turnovers, and how quickly do you forget those situations? And do you sometimes have guilty feeling about the result of the game?
Sorry, what was the second question?
If you have guilty feeling.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you lose, you think about every play that, you know, could have gone a different direction, and that you were involved in the game. That's just normal for basketball. If you don't think about it like that, then, you know, you're probably not trying to get better. You probably don't hold yourself to the standard that you need to. But yeah, in the game, I mean, that's the biggest thing with basketball, especially just because the possessions turn over so quickly, is getting to the next one. If you don't do a good enough job, you know, getting over the mistake or the turnover or the missed shot, then you're probably lingering into the next possession, and now you're rendering yourself, you know, in a bad position there. So that is a skill to get over, and I think for the most part we have guys that do a good job of getting through that.
What is your mentality on playing defense?
Just trying to make it difficult for the other team. I think the biggest thing is just having them play on your terms and being competitive and trying to win each possession.
You have one friend, could you say anything to Ty
Yeah, tell them thank you for the support. Yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Hey Alex, we talked to Chet about the off-the-court bonding that the team has done. He said one of his funny or favorite moments was being on a plane and just all the focus of everything on the court. What can you say about this team off the court and any standout moments of your guys' bonding?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tight-knit group. I think any team that gets this far in the postseason has to have that. I don't think anybody really finds success in this league without having that. And I think that's one of the things that makes navigating the regular season, especially the regular season, but postseason in difficult times is just being able to have guys that you can lean on, that can get your mind off the game when you need to, but also help you relock in and focus on it when it is. And we got 17 guys that all enjoy doing that and helping each other out.
Last question.
TJ walked into a while. I'm not sure people assume. They might not assume that about you.
Yeah, same.
But the fact that you guys have been able to affect these first 3 games of the finals, is it primarily about effort? Giving, like you've talked about, you sort of have to be protective of yourself because of the effort that you want to give all the time. He obviously gives at that level. Is that the easy answer of why you guys have been able to do this, or are there other aspects that maybe go underappreciated because of it?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I think both him. I don't think people know that me and him were on the same summer league team my first year in professional sports. We both played for the 76ers, and that was the year they drafted Ben Simmons. And spent a lot of time with TJ, and still friends with him today. And I've gotten to see him grow his game, develop, and figure out how to stay in the league. And I've done a little bit of that myself in following those footsteps. And one of the things that stands out a lot is obviously the effort, but he has the people in the league that are given this stigma of they're just a hustle player and they play really hard. It's like, to be in the NBA, you have to be great at something. You can't be in the NBA if you're not great at something. And if you're great at 1 or 2 things, you probably have to have great hustle and play hard to make up for whatever the other areas are. So, him being a smaller guard that doesn't shoot a lot of outside shots, he has great speed. He gets to the paint where he's pesky on defense. He finds steals, and then he's an elite competitor. And a lot of those things, I have a different offensive game than him, maybe, or at least I've transitioned into that in my career. But a lot of the other things that guys like us have had to do to get into the league, sometimes that stigma or that reputation sticks, and people overlook, the actual skill that we have to stay in this league.
Hey, how you doing? How are you? How's it feeling this morning?
I feel good, man. How you doing?
Good. Is it time to reset? How do you describe the humor in the locker rooms for you guys?
We know that this isn't the last game, so it definitely hurt for sure, and we gotta get back to the 0-0 mindset and get ready for the next one.
You beat it just by shooting that back. Once you're down, you're tired. It should be similar.
Definitely, like you said, we've been here before, so we gotta bounce back, get the car back on the road.
Also asking the guys about the first adjustments for tomorrow. Which one should be the turnovers? Because it's weird that between Shea and Jabin they lost 10 balls. So that one should be the first one. I know they play big defense because of.
Yeah, we all gotta take care of the ball, not just them two. But yeah, we turned the ball over at a high rate last game, and we gotta turn that over.
And you talking with Isaiah and Chet, they said the same thing. You guys need to be yourselves to tie the series. And specifically any point to be yourselves to tie the series.
Yeah, our physicality wasn't there for a lot of points in the game. Our force wasn't there for a lot of stretches of the game. So just those two alone is kind of who we are. That's our identity, and we lacked that last game.
What makes them such an effective defense to score on a transition? How much of a point of emphasis is it for you guys to score in the open floor against them?
It starts with us getting stops. We taking the ball out a good deal of the game. So once we get stops, it gives us better transition opportunities.
How do you clean up the turnovers? They were uncharacteristic, especially on the inbound pass. You know, it just what was Indiana just something that you hadn't done before, or just you guys just not focusing on the ball?
I'd say it's just us not being locked in. You know, we haven't made that mistake all year, and you know, yeah, they had more pressure and they were flying around a little more, but we just got to be more locked in.
Has their stamina surprised you at all? How they seemingly get a little stronger because as the team that was on, they could take a punch and their work quarters over the season. Their starter fresh.
Has that surprised you at all?
Not surprising at all. You know, we've seen them do it all year. That's what got them to this point here today. So, no, it's not surprising.
ช่วยเด็กไทยด้วยผมใจ you know you got lots of friends in Thai and please say anything to Thai.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in.
You have to wake up early like 7 in the morning. Yeah, to rush the meeting.
As well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For Jason, Alex obviously can know such a high energy guy. I'll say that. Do you think guys like him that are that way, people sometimes overlook some of the other stuff about their hands?
Definitely. You've been an offensive threat for us this whole series as well. His defensive intensity on, like I said, his deep intensity on defense might overpower, you know, the fact that he is a threat in the NBA.
I mean, the fact that he's, I mean, you could come off the bench and had a big impact too, but the fact that, like, last game he doesn't have as big an impact next ball not. I mean, just how important he is to your team. How would you sort of characterize that and just the role he plays?
It's huge for us. You know, he's always flying around, always trying to, you know, make impactful plays, and you know that's just who he is. We're leaning on him to, you know, be who he is, and that's disruptive. So whenever he does that, and he does it night in and night out, you know, he's an unbelievable piece for us.
This playoffs, coach has talked about like winning the days between the games. What's like the biggest goal of today going into tomorrow?
Getting focused on getting the car back on the road, watching that last one out, learning from it, and just being ready to be better.
And it was like coming from Paycom Center playing here. What was the atmosphere like in a, you know, uncharted territory for you guys?
Yeah, I mean it's a finals game, so the opposing team definitely had their crowd going. But yeah, we gotta weather that storm, handle that adversity, and just come out with the win.
Aaron, after just being able to go back, watch over the film from yesterday, how much of yesterday did you feel like were controllables that you guys will be able to repair in Game 4?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was the little runs and spurts that they had, especially towards in that second half. Yeah, they took the lead in that fourth quarter. A lot of things were just us and things that were kind of uncharacteristic of us at certain points in the game. And we're not going to be perfect, but we've got to do a better job just, you know, being who we are, as many possessions as we can.
Yeah, we don't typically see that many turnovers from you guys. Did you sense anything from Indiana's defense that they might have done differently in Game 3 there?
Yeah, I mean, they just brought, you know, the physicality and you know, pressure, and we just kind of allowed them to do so. But like I said, being who we are and who we've been all season, you know, it's uncharacteristic. Just got to get back to, you know, the way that we, you know, always play and you know, having that force on a consistent basis. So.
You just kind of hinted at it, but I keep seeing the stat about how your 2 losses in the finals have been the fewest passes thrown games by you guys like all season. What do you think they're doing that is causing that to be a symptom for you guys?
I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything they're doing. I would say, you know, part of their pressure is just kind of you know, affecting the way that we're, you know, sometimes maybe making reads. But that's more so in our control. We've got to, you know, play at our pace, play the way we want to play, and play our brand of basketball, which is sharing the ball and finding guys to create good opportunities.
Aaron, going over film, what were some of the things that stood out for you?
A lot of controllable things, turnovers, you know, defensive lapses where we weren't, you know, making the right rotations and, you know, winning, you know, the coverages that we kind of had. and then offensively, just execution-wise, making it easy for each other to find open shots and get good looks. So just some controllable things that we didn't do great.
How did you see them change the way they attacked you when they had the ball offensively? It seemed like they were trying to mix things up a little bit more in terms of how they came at you playing off the pitch a little bit. What changed?
Like I said, a lot of it was us and things we could control, and I think we just allowed them to be too comfortable. And their comfortability allowed them to play, at their pace and get to, find their rhythm and play, the way they wanted to play. So, like I said, it was more of our controllable things.
You guys are so good at playing in front of like a great home crowd back in Oklahoma. Was there anything like playing against a team that involves the crowd and their momentum that really surprised you?
No, nothing that really surprised us. The crowd was great, and they were playing well. And it makes a difference. You're not playing at home, but I thought we still were in a good position going into that fourth quarter. Like I said, some controllable things in the fourth quarter that we didn't do a good job handling, and we've got to be better with. But the crowd was great. It was nothing that completely affected us and kept us from winning.
Aaron, how you doing? This is Randy, Latin America. How are you?
Doing well.
It's in the same page, right? The Lincoln did 18 points in the fourth quarter. A lot of turnovers. They did a terrific job on the defensive end. That should be the first adjustment for tomorrow.
For the game, just got to be a little bit better. Like I said, controllable things. They were comfortable. They played at their pace and they got to the things they wanted to get to. We just didn't do a good job, trying to make them, have to play to something else.
Okay, one more. You've been in this position in Denver. 1-2, you tied it. It was an ugly game, but you tied it and you win it and you come back home, etc. How do you describe that feelings in the locker room right now with you guys?
Not phased, ready for the next game. It's a series first and four. Like you said, we've been there before, so just got to be ready to go for the next game and try to come out with a win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Aaron, is there any benefit to the fact that you play tomorrow versus having those 2 days off in between games after a game like yesterday?
Less time to think about a loss. But more than anything, I guess just the anticipation. You kind of have a feeling coming off of the game we just had where, you're ready to get back going. You're ready to play again, and you're ready to, try to correct whatever it is that, may not have worked in your favor the game before. So after watching film and having time to, get shots and just kind of talk about what we can do better, I think guys will be ready to go with shorter time. It'll be, highly anticipated for us.
TJ and Benedict had some really big games from last night. Just curious to know what your thoughts are on the whole role players play better at home thing. Do you put any stock into that at all?
I don't know. I think, especially for guys who aren't first options for teams, so much of it just varies on the game, kind of the flow of the game and the rhythm of the game. Those guys came into the game and just kind of changed it and added a certain sense of energy. But those are two great players who could do the same thing on the road if you allow them to. So I think it's more so rhythm of the game. And if you're not that first option, it's solely game to game. It's not always going to be set out for you to be great as you were. But they were good yesterday. We got to do a better job, limiting them and not allowing them to be as big of a factor as they were last night.
Isaiah, you guys have had 2-day breaks, but a situation like this is almost good to be able to get back out there and play tomorrow.
Oh yeah, for sure. The quick turnarounds, they help, especially when you're fresh off the loss. Just being able to go out there and just take the game back again, have opportunity to go out there and win, play hard. I almost prefer the 1 day in between rather than the two.
TJ and Benedict had big nights for them last night. You hear the phrase role players play better at home all the time. Just curious to know if you put any stock into that, what your thoughts on that are.
We know that they're a team that plays with everybody that's out there on the floor. I don't know if it really plays a part being home or away. We know that what they're capable of, and they definitely had tremendous games last night, and it helped them get the win. But we do know that they're very deep in their bench, just like we are.
How do you guys feel about slowing down or rendering less effective a guy like TJ McConnell?
Say that again?
How do you guys go about slowing down or rendering less effective a guy like TJ McConnell?
I think we just have to meet their force with a lot more physicality. They were the hard-nosed team getting downhill, basically just getting what they wanted on the offensive end. I think we just have to take more pride on the defensive end from each and every guy, just owning up and winning your matchup.
It was a big bench game for them yesterday. What do you kind of attribute that to? I mean, you guys got out to that 9-point lead and their bench came in and really just stormed back.
Yeah, just guys being ready. They're ready at all times. The same way we try to be ready at all times. We know that they like to play with a lot of the guys on their bench, and so they made a difference in the game. But it's no surprise. We're here and they are here just like we are, and so they've been able to do that for the course of the season, throughout the playoffs, to help them get to this point. So we know that they're capable of that.
What makes them such an effective defense in transition, and just how much of an emphasis is it for you guys to get going and open the floor?
They really try to impose their will, especially like picking up full, being more physical. I think we just need to attack that with more aggressiveness and try not to, succumb to that and play slow. I think that also comes with us, being able to get stops and get rebounds and try to push in fast breaks. But yeah, whenever they're able to, make baskets and pick up full, they just they try to slow us down any way that they can with that.
How important is Isaiah Hartenstein to you personally in this series, and then just generally for the team?
Yeah, I mean, he's been a big piece, ever since he's been playing. As far as like rebounding, defense, the stuff that he creates offensively, his screening and all that. I think everybody else on the team, sees that as well, knows that as well, that he brings just more size whenever he's out there on the floor, more versatility, and he does a great job at it.